Welcome to Southern Spoonful. I'm Becky and I'm so happy you're here because we're getting ready to celebrate the holidays. I have lots of holiday appetizer recipes in the Roanoker magazine in my Southern Spoonful column that's on the newsstands now. I love to use puff pastry for my appetizers. And the puff pastry that I use is called Dufour puff pastry. It's a frozen product that I find at Fresh Market. The reason I like Dufour is because its first ingredient on the ingredient listing is butter. And the other frozen puff pastry has vegetable oil as the first ingredient. Butter makes a difference because it'll make your puff pastry puff up so nicely. So your guests are going to be hungry and thirsty when they first get to your house, and all of these appetizers can be made ahead of time so you can be making your beautiful holiday dinner in your kitchen, and your guests can be noshing on appetizers and cocktails while you're cooking in the kitchen. The puff pastry treats that I'm going to make today are called Palmiers, and these are called Palmiers, it's a French term, because they look like a palm leaf. What I do is I used to put flour on my board to make it non-stick, but that was messy and I'd have to clean up all the flour afterwards. So now I use vegetable spray, and I just spray my board very lightly with some vegetable spray. And then I put my puff pastry, which I've thawed, onto my board. When you thaw out your puff pastry, don't refreeze it because it won't puff up in the oven once you thaw it back out. So use all of your puff pastry that you've thawed out. I'm going to roll it out just a little bit on my board, and I'm going to spread a little bit of some Dijon mustard onto the puff pastry. And Dijon mustard is a French mustard. It has a nice tang to it that goes so well with the prosciutto and Gruyere that are going to go into my savory palmiers. So a nice amount of mustard goes all over the top. And now I'm going to take some prosciutto, which I'm chopping up, and I like to use scissors to chop my prosciutto. It's just so easy and quick. So I just take my little kitchen shears and chop up my prosciutto, and then I'll sprinkle that all over my puff pastry. And next I'm going to put Gruyere cheese, and Gruyere is a French cheese. You can buy it grated or you can grate it yourself, but during the holidays it's so busy I look for any convenience I can find, so I like to buy it grated. And I'll just put my grated Gruyere cheese over my prosciutto, and then I'll just press it down a little bit. And now you fold. And the folding helps to make that pretty palm leaf shape. So I'm going to fold once towards the middle and then again towards the middle and press it down firmly. And then I'll just fold it again towards the middle. And if there's not quite enough to fold, just press it down a little bit more, and that'll give you a little bit more dough to work with. So there you have a nice roll. And what I'll do is I'll wrap it in wax paper and pop it in the freezer for a couple hours, or you could do this overnight, so you can make these a day ahead. And that's all ready for the freezer. Once you get it out of the freezer, you'll end up with a nice little roll like this. And as you can see, you have that nice pinwheel shape that's like the palm leaf. If it's still too frozen, just let it sit out for a little bit at room temperature so you can slice it easily. Next, I'm going to use parchment paper to line my baking sheet. And my parchment paper, I like to buy pre-cut sheets, but they're always too big for my smaller baking sheets. So all I do is come over to the edge of the counter, and it'll rip very nicely so it'll fit right onto your baking sheet, like magic. So now I have my baking sheet ready, and I'm going to cut my palmiers just fairly thinly, about 1/8 or to 1/4 of an inch. And the first one might fall apart, as that one did, but that's okay, because I'll nibble on that later. I'll just go ahead and bake that. Just lay them on your baking sheet. And these will bake in the oven, 375 oven, for about 20 minutes or so, and they'll get beautifully golden brown. And then we put a little bit of egg wash on them to make them even more golden when they're baking. Just a little bit of egg wash on top. And then we'll bake these beautiful palmiers, and they are just perfect to serve with a cocktail, just the perfect bite. I absolutely love these. And you can make them ahead of time. The whole roll makes about 36, and that's plenty for my guests if my husband doesn't eat all of them first, because he absolutely loves these. I know your guests are going to love these prosciutto and Gruyere Palmiers. Hidden Jewel cheese balls are going to be the hit on your holiday appetizer table. When they're rolled in nuts, they look like this, and then when you cut them, they look like they have little hidden jewels inside. They're so pretty and tasty. All you do is mix goat cheese and some whipped cream cheese together in a bowl. And the goat cheese gives it a nice little tang, and then the cream cheese makes it nice and creamy. And my friend Ashley, who is a cook extraordinaire and also does the food photography for Southern Spoonful in the Roanoker, she gave me this tip: to take a little cookie scoop, and this is about 1½ tablespoons. Just scoop the cheese and then put the grape right inside and just cover it up. And then just drop it right into your chopped nuts. And I'm using pecans and pistachios, both chopped. And I'll just cover up my little cheese ball. Makes a perfect little cheese ball. And then I'll be putting that into the refrigerator to chill before I cut them. So that makes it really easy to cut. Can't wait to see what color it is inside. Little surprise. It's a green hidden jewel. So can't wait to take a bite. I absolutely love these, and they will be so popular with all of your friends and family that you have over for the holidays. And I almost forgot one of the best parts of the Hidden Jewel cheese ball. Once I cut my Hidden Jewel cheese balls, I like to drizzle them with some AR's Southern Hot Honey. And I get this at Crystal Spring Grocery, and the hot honey, just a little drizzle. You can either use the hot or the hot mild, and that just gives it a little tiny bit of sweetness that is so wonderful. Bacon-wrapped water chestnuts are a special holiday treat with a little twist, because I put a hot peach chutney that I get at Wine Gourmet on my bacon before I wrap the water chestnuts in the bacon. So I just give this little spread. I'm using a knife called a knead, and this is really cool because it has a sharp edge on one side and a smooth edge on the other. So it's perfect for spreading. And then you can also cut with the same knife, so you don't have to switch back and forth with your knives. If your water chestnut's a little large, you can cut it in half, and then just wrap it up in the bacon, spread with the hot peach chutney, which is so yummy. and then put a toothpick in. But the toothpicks I'm using are not just your ordinary toothpicks. They are from Cook's Nook, and they have a large variety of different types of toothpicks. But when you're cooking or making something hearty, like these spicy bacon wrapped water chestnuts, you'll want to have a nice hearty toothpick to go with it so it'll hold up to the appetizer. I just roll these up, put the toothpick in, and then they're ready for the oven, and you just bake them until they're crispy, and they're just the perfect little one bite that is so delicious. Nice little crunch. I know you're going to love these little spicy bacon wrapped water chestnuts. Now we're going to spice things up with some cherry peppers that I'm going to stuff with prosciutto and mozzarella cheese. When you take the cherry peppers out of the jar, keep the juice that's in the jar, and you're going to make a marinade in the jar. So I add a little bit of Italian seasoning and some fresh Italian parsley chopped up, just right into the jar. Then I take my little cherry peppers and I hollow them out, take out the stem and the seeds and rinse them off to get all the seeds out. Take a little piece of prosciutto, put it right in there with a piece of mozzarella, and then if you have a larger cherry pepper, you can add a little bit more prosciutto, and then you can just drop it right into the marinade. Sometimes I like to wrap the prosciutto right around the mozzarella so it'll fit nicely. And then you just want to cover the jar and give it a gentle shake and put it in the refrigerator just overnight. And your peppers will be all ready to serve your guests. Just a one bite. Spicy, but so good. Perfect for a holiday treat. Jumbo lump crab meat salad in Belgian Endive leaves sounds really fancy, and it is fancy, but they're so easy to make and so tasty. I take jumbo lump crab and I add some mayonnaise, and I'm using my fun little spoon from Dream Farm, where I get my kitchen gadgets at Ladles and Linens in downtown Roanoke, and I love this spoon. I mix in the mayonnaise, and then I'll mix in some capers and some Old Bay seasoning. Makes such a lovely salad. Some fresh dill. I think fresh dill is one of my favorite herbs. I love to grow it in my garden. Give that a good mix, along with some salt and pepper. And a little bit of chopped celery to give it a little crunch. So we have our crab salad all ready to go, and I still have chunks of the crab meat, the jumbo lump crab meat, in the salad. I try not to tear up the lumps too much because it makes such a nice presentation. Then I take my endive, Belgian endive. And Belgian endive, when you buy it, look for the leaves to be very tight around the head. It's actually a lettuce in the lettuce family, and so it should be nice and bright in color. And we'll just put a little bit of the crab salad into the Belgian endive. So we'll put that on a little plate, and our guests can enjoy these. But also, if you'd like to be a little bit more casual, you can serve this with potato chips. And so you just put the potato chips on the plate and then have the crab meat salad on the side. And then your guests can enjoy the crab meat salad with potato chips. So either fancy or more casual. And Old Bay, I just sprinkle over the top to give it a little bit more flavor and color. And that's the beautiful jumbo lump crab meat salad on Belgian Endive. Another one of my favorite Southern Spoonful holiday appetizers are fresh tomato tarts. And this is a wonderful way to use your puff pastry that you've thawed out. Just cut out little circles with a cookie cutter, about 1.5 inch circles, and put them on your baking sheet with your parchment paper. And then some Dijon mustard, which is such a wonderful addition to holiday savory appetizers. So just spread a little Dijon mustard on each puff pastry. And then a little tomato, fresh tomato. And I like to use, these are called cocktail tomatoes. They have so much flavor, easy to find in the grocery store. And I just cut them into little segments that will fit on my puff pastry. Love fresh tomatoes. And then a little bit of Parmesan cheese on each one. And be a little generous. If it falls off the little pastry tart, it's okay. That's a generous amount there. And then some fresh basil. And basil will add such a wonderful herby flavor. These are herb scissors, and these cut the basil into julienne strips. All I do, just cut them like that. Oh, it smells so good. And just sprinkle over, just a little bit on each one, and it kind of looks kind of Christmassy because they're nice red and green for the holidays. And some freshly ground black pepper. Yummy. We'll pop these in the oven and bake them about 15 minutes or so until they're nice and brown. And these are just a perfect, just a little one bite to go with your cocktails or a glass of wine. These are one of my favorites. Now I know they'll be one of your favorites too. Holiday Sipper, the perfect holiday cocktail to serve your guests. I'm making mine with a Storied Goods cherry and orange sugar cube. And these take the place of the simple syrup. So it gives the drink the sweetness, and it's so easy because you just pop the sugar cube into the flute. And I'm going to add some Ocean Spray sparkling cranberry juice, which makes it very festive. And the sugar cube will dissolve as the drink is made, and then it'll continue to dissolve as you're sipping. And some champagne. Isn't that a beautiful color? So pretty. And for a garnish, I'm going to add some cranberries that I've soaked in ginger beer and rolled in a little bit of sugar. And I'm just going to pop them right in. And you can use fresh cranberries or you can use dried cranberries. So I'll give you just an extra treat in the glass. And a little bit of mint for garnish. And that is your holiday ruby sipper. Cheers!